Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix vs. Cinema, the podcast that is realizing this week that even though it was released about 3 weeks ago, even though we reviewed it about 3 weeks ago, people are still not done complaining about Persuasion on Netflix. People are not ready to let it go. They're not ready to let it go. My name is Tosin and I am the host based up in the United Kingdom, somewhere in the middle of the country near Birmingham. And joining me, as always, on the Isle of Wight is Sharon Bolland.
Hello.
Sharon Bolland, the instigator of our newfound hub of persuasion activity.
Yes.
Shall we say we found out that if you don't know what I'm talking about, Netflix released a film called Persuasion, which is nominally an adaptation of Jane Austen's final finished novel, and it hit Netflix probably about 3 weeks ago as we're recording. And it has gone off. It sent Sharon off. I will quote from Sharon's review. I really, really want to swear right now. And we put that review up online and we have realized that we have hit a nerve because there's a lot of people out there, at least a lot of people for us, as I say. We're a small podcast. We're a small YouTube channel. We don't really have, but this has become like our most viewed video for a while. It is just people jumping on and people wanting to mostly wanted to jump on, agree with Sharon, and just join in this complaint pylon, shall we say. I did not realize that there was that much emotion that had been stirred up by this film around Jane Austen and stuff, but apparently there is. Sharon, thank you for introducing me to a whole new world.
Yeah, I think Persuasion particularly is, I think, one of her most beloved novels, because it isn't the most obvious one. I think because it's quieter, it's slower, it's got a slightly more melancholy air about it.
Yep.
It's not the most obvious one. And I think when someone takes that and then turns it into a frivolous rom-com, it's going to get people's backs up. And it did on a massive scale.
But what did I have to say is, okay, sometimes there are times when you do stuff and you put it up online and it goes onto the internet and then bad things happen. But every now and then there's a time when you realize this is the force for good this thing could be. And so how does it feel, Sharon, to have found your people and to have found that you are not alone in your despair about this version of Persuasion?
I'm not surprised. There's a lot of us out there who go about our lives. We're quite modest, quiet people, and then till someone riles us, and then hear me roar. And I think that's what happens with that person you all sort of pass in the street and not even give them a second glance. They are probably a seething cauldron of emotion about all sorts of things, and you just have to tap into that. And I think we have tapped into that seething cauldron of emotion about that people, you dare to mess with our favorite book.
Yep. And it's been like putting a stick in the hornet's nest. So
Really?
I thought we were done. With Persuasion last week because we put up our review of Persuasion. When people responded to us and we were like, oh wow, people get in touch with us, and we still like, oh, people have actually noticed that we've done something, so we like to give them a little bit of love back. So we actually made a second video, which was our response to our review, reading out what people had said about it, and we put that up online as well. It was also on the podcast, and people have kept commenting, and at some point I'm going to have to put a pin in it. At some point I'm going to have to say, okay, that's it. We cannot spend the first 20 minutes of the podcast talking about Persuasion like 2 months after the film was released. We cannot do it. At some point I'm going to have to, but not quite yet. So there are still some people who have gotten in touch with us, and I am still going to say thank you for getting in touch with us, and I'm going to put something in there about what I'm going to just read out what they've said to just say thank you for getting in touch with us, as I said. Right, so we've had Mary, we've had Logan, last week we had A. Jansen, and we had Sea of Ghosts, who also got in touch, and now we are going to continue with other people who've gotten in touch with us, and there's a person called Sanjiv Jangiani, who loved your review, and he just said one minor correction. Although Wentworth would not have been a captain when he first proposed to Anne, he would have been a lieutenant or at least a midshipman, not just a rating. Now, I don't understand what this means, but Sharon, you straight away knew what this meant, and you went on there and you said, "Well done." You went on, Sanjeev, you got me.
Yeah, no, I said absolutely. He is right. Because I did watch back the review because sometimes because we're not scripted. I think as anyone who watches this will probably know,
it should become very obvious very quickly. We're not scripted.
And we just talk. And so when I described Wentworth as a rating, he isn't a rating. He was an officer. So yeah, afterwards I thought I shouldn't have used that term. It wasn't the correct term to describe him. He was an officer. He would have gone in as a midshipman, as his business guy, and then he would have moved up through the ranks. And because one thing about the Navy, as opposed to the Army, was that you had to earn your promotions in the Navy. You couldn't buy a commission.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of the subplots in the story of Persuasion about how you meet several naval officers. You meet Admiral Croft, you meet Captains Harville and Captain Bennick. And it's really important because you can compare their lives to what Wentworth would have been had he married Anne at the age he did. Would he have got the success? Would he have got the promotion? So Sanjeev, wasn't it, was absolutely right. He wasn't a rating. He would have been an officer.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
well done.
It was a minor thing, but it's important to the story. So
yeah, well done, Sanjeev. And also well done, Sanjeev and Sharon, for having one of those rarest of things, which is a civil, polite exchange of slight disagreement over the internet, where it hasn't immediately become fight your own corner. How dare you say that? No. So yeah, well done to the both of you for having like a nice simple exchange over the internet. And let's see, who else do we have here? We have there's someone called Vanessa. I want to say Nisley. That's Knizley, author. Vanessa Nisley, author. And while I was looking around to see what had happened with our review of Persuasion, I did notice that she had put up a video as well with two other author friends, and they put on their own review of Persuasion. Hey, Sean has just joined us.
Hey, hiya. Sorry, it's been a bit hectic.
No problem, Sean. We're just talking about the fact that 3 weeks after the film was reviewed and 3 weeks after the film was released, people are still not over Persuasion and people are still talking about
it. Good.
I know, honestly, Sean, this is like, when you have one of your rants, like when you talk about Batman, how both of us, when we start talking about Batman versus Superman, how we go off on rants.
Yeah.
This is like the Jane Austen thing of it.
That's cool. It's cool, isn't it? That's good.
It's the Jane Austen Royal Rumble pylon.
So how many views has it had now?
It's getting close to 400.
Wow, that's good news, isn't it?
It's getting close to 400. Yeah, it is. So Vanessa Nisley, author, Vanessa, if you listen to this, I apologize, and please do tell me how to pronounce your name correctly. She simply says, "You three were fun to watch." So that's because I think it was me, you, and Holly, Sharon, on that one. It's like, you three were fun to watch. Two of my author friends and I put up a review as well, and we felt the exact same way. Strip the story of its meaning. So sad. I'm going to see what other reviews you have all done. So yeah, cool. I have to say, I don't think that there's going to be anything with that's full of the vitriol that the Persuasion review was full of. Unless you listen to the audio version of our thing and find our review of Rambo Last Blood, which Sharon reviewed and she wasn't even on the show. She only sent in an email that I had to read out. But you could read it. You could feel the vitriol coming through the written word.
Sharon is very measured normally, but this, when she does go, she goes. And quite justified, apparently.
Well, it seems to be the case. But after Sharon has said that, I don't think I'm going to be watching this film. So, and the final person who is going to touch with this is someone called Aya Blute. For at least for now, I'm saying that I think at some point, Sean, I'm going to have to draw a line under this and say no more. No more Persuasion talk. But I think at the moment it's still quite fun. Final person is Aya Blute, or Blute, Bleute. She says, they made this movie for millennial and Gen Z generations. They literally think that we are too stupid to understand Jane Austen, so they had to dumb down her work for us. I am so glad that they got roasted for this. This adaptation is so condescending. Also, trying to attract a new audience doesn't work. It's like trying to make an action movie more romantic when your audience is mostly men. Eventually, no one will watch and you will lose millions of dollars. So, yeah, I don't know whether they lost millions of dollars, but I don't know. I mean, they might even be happy about all the notoriety this film is getting, because I'm not sure that they expected to have this many column inches when they made this film. I cannot.
I mean, that's really really good. I suppose with YouTube algorithms, will it sort of show up from what people's interests, like with the.
Yes, it will show from people's interests.
Cool.
So okay, because I run the YouTube channel. I do all the nerdy stuff. I do all the nerdy button pushing on this podcast, and I've been going into the background, and I was showing Sharon a little bit, sharing my screen and showing her a little bit of what this whole thing looks like in the background and all that. And you can see that there's a lot of videos that are referring our video, that are recommending our video to people, and a lot of them have titles like "Persuasion, it's terrible. Persuasion is an abomination." So there's a whole sort of mini YouTube. There's a whole mini Persuasion corner of YouTube that we are now part of, that we have unwittingly bundled into, and people are finding that. And I've got to be honest, if I was going to think about the film that we were going to review, that would get us the most attention of anything that we've done, I would not have picked this one. I would not have picked this one. But that's one of the great things about human beings. Weird things happen and surprise you. So anyway, that is it. Please do continue getting in touch with us. If you see the Persuasion review, you like what you see. As people said, if we are fun to watch, like Vanessa says, watch something else. Watch other things that we do. Have a look at some of our playlists, all that. Or even, and I know this might be crazy, but even download a podcast and listen to the full podcast episodes that we've done, where we talk about different things, where what we do, and I haven't even said what we do on this podcast. We don't just talk about Persuasion. This isn't just the Persuasion corner, even though I'm beginning to think that we need to rename our YouTube channel something like Persuasion is a joke. It isn't that we actually go to the cinema when they have films on for us to watch, and we watch a couple of things in the cinema. We watch things at home. We pick them out, rate them all out of 5, put them against each other, and figure out where money has been better spent this week. And now this week is one of those weeks where we have not been able to do much cinema watching, mainly because cinema hasn't given us much to watch. Would that be accurate, or is that just my local cinema being rubbish as usual?
No, I think that's a good observation. There hasn't really been a lot. I'm going to have to rewatch some things, I think, because I'm getting a little bit. I need to see something, so I might have to watch. So I'll have to be discerning. The trouble is, a lot of the films have moved to the smaller screens, so
yeah,
because I did think about seeing Elvis again, but it was in like screen 7 or something, and it's just...
Well, as long as I've got a friend of mine who wants to see it, and I said, well, if it's still on, I'll go see it again with you. I'm hoping that they'll keep Elvis for at least another week.
Right. Elvis seems to have some legs. Elvis does seem to have some legs. It's still hanging about. So how many times have you seen Elvis now, Sean?
Well, I've seen it twice.
Okay.
Yeah, twice. So.
All right, and but I know what you mean about saying getting a bit antsy, because I said last week I hadn't been in the cinema for about a month, I think, and this week I was like, well, we've reviewed everything. Well, we've reviewed everything worthwhile. I'm not going to watch Minions: Rise of Gru.
Oh God, no! Even I can. I'm not
going to watch. I'm not going to watch that. So, but everything else was reviewed. So actually, I was like, I just need to break my duck. I need to get back in the cinema. And when I watched Bullet Train to catch up with, and I have to say.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys said about Bullet Train. It's a big dumb smile of a movie. Is the way I put it. It's a big dumb, and it's one of those things where I have a feeling that when they came up with the title of that film, they were like, oh, genius! They're on a train and they're firing bullets, and it's also a bullet train. Look at us! Ooh, we're deep. So many different names. I don't feel like they did that. They did the film. But I know what you guys were saying about the cameos. I did bleep out the cameo that you guys mentioned last week. I did bleep it out. But they just keep feeding things to people. You're like, what? And when you look at the people who are involved in the film, people who star in the film, and also the people who directed the film, some of those cameos, you can see how they happened. You can see how they happened. But that's all I'll say on that. But yeah, I agree with you guys. It is a 3, because you'd be hard pressed to give it a 4.
Oh yeah.
But you'd be very hard pressed to give it a 4.
Thoroughly entertaining.
But it is really entertaining, and I even and I understood what you were saying about like when characters leave the screen, you're like, oh, but they were fun.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one particular character who he has trailer time and everything like that. You see him quite prominently in the trailer, and he is on screen for probably about 5 to 10 minutes of the entire 5 to 7 of the entire runtime, and like where because of it shouldn't come as a surprise that in a film called Bullet Train, not everybody makes it to the end. So when he leaves, you're kind of like, what? Is that it? Mm-hmm. Is that it? Are we gonna have like a flashback or something? Oh no, that was it. That was
That's
definitely
done.
it. And but even in the 5 to 10 minutes, you're like, I wanted to see more of that. And it's but I just think that it's the kind of film that, you know, you might complain and say they don't make many of them anymore. Where it's just like a dumb smile of a movie. They've done it. It's kind of like an original concept. It's not a superhero film or anything like that. I thought it was quite good. So, with that being the only thing that any of us have seen in cinema this week, and we've already reviewed that last week, we are left with one of those weeks where we just talk about what we've seen at home. We declare this a null contest, say Netflix and Friends have won, and we just carry on and say what it is that we have seen at home. So, Shaun, you said you haven't really seen anything at home.
I haven't really seen anything. I finally got the Apple, the 5-month Apple thing through.
Oh, yeah, you got it. You got it, yeah.
So I watched Smigadoon. So I thought I'd have to watch that after the reviews and all that. It was quite fun. I think I was expecting a little bit more lavish than what it was. It was very much, on a set and all things like that. I sort of had a picture of it being majestic landscapes like The Sound of Music and all stuff like that. But it was very,
no, it's on the sound stage more of the Seven Brides.
Yeah,
it was that sort of
it
was that sort of thing. Yeah. So
all painted backdrops and stuff. Yeah,
but I quite enjoyed it. I think with sometimes you can, like when you hear people talk about movies and how great it is and everything it is, when you see it sometimes it can only disappoint. Yeah. I mean, but then again, it works the other way. If people say, "Oh, what a terrible thing this was," what a movie, what a horrible movie.
Yeah.
And then you go and see it later. Sometimes it can be a bit of a surprise. And you think, well, why did everybody hate that movie so much?
Yeah.
Although Persuasion does seem to be that. I won't even entertain that. So
don't go there.
Don't go there. Yeah. So I'll take Sharon's advice for that one.
I'll tell you what, sure. Okay, what if our review of Persuasion hits 500 views, we can both go watch it and then we can come and join in. We can come and pile on as well. Yeah, but because I have to. Where you said that you'd seen Schmigadoon, I was like, ooh, man, I might have hyped it up way too much. I did worry about that. Although I have seen it. Since I reviewed it. I've seen Schmigadoon again because it's only 6 episodes. It's short. And my sister-in-law was around, and so she wanted to watch something, so I suggested that. And I watched it back, and there's still bits that just make me crack up.
Definitely. I mean, I agree. It is. But yeah, I I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I didn't think, but I think I was probably expecting
overhyped. Yeah.
So a little bit overhyped for me, but still enjoyed it immensely. So now I'll have to catch up with some of the other things. So,
okay. So weirdly enough, even though Sharon and I are trying our darndest to watch our way through all of Apple TV Plus before our 5 months are up, I think the big thing that we've seen this week is actually not an Apple TV Plus thing. It's a Disney Plus thing.
Right, yeah.
It's a Disney Plus thing. So because Sharon and I, we both saw a film that has been released called Prey.
Ooh, yeah, I've heard about this. This is the Predator family of films, isn't it?
It's in the Predator family of films. So you can see what they've done. Obviously, the original was made in 1987 called Predator, and now they have a film called Prey. And it is... Yeah, I think let's kick off with this. Let's kick off with talking about Prey. And Sharon, would you give us a synopsis of Prey?
Okay, so Prey is set in a pre-industrialized world, our world, and in North America. I believe the date it flashes up is something like 1719, I think it is. Yeah, 1719. So British history just after the sort of first Jacobite uprising. And this is in North America, and we meet the Comanche tribe, who are living, this sort of pre-industrial age where they very much still have stone tools. They haven't really done a lot of interaction with the new sort of Europeans that are coming in. So they very much live have their stone tools. They have the bows and arrows with hide sort of strings, and it's all they're hunter-gatherers basically.
Yeah.
So sophisticated and have their own sort of civilization. And there's one of the members of the tribe is a young woman who feels more drawn towards hunting and wanting to sort of hone her skills as a fighter and as a survivor, rather than doing the more traditional female roles of, cleaning their hides and sort of having a more domestic
and cooking
role.
and harvesting like what looked like sweet potatoes.
Yes, yes. So that isn't her sort of passion, but she is very keen on fighting or hunting or basically just being out in the world with her brothers and with her brother's friends. So one day she's out and she notices something strange when she's hunting. She sees what is called a firebird in the sky, and then she notices that something else is hunting the predators around them, the wolves and the bears and critters.
Yeah, yeah.
And so she then becomes aware of what we know as someone who has obviously that knowledge, that what she is encountering is an early predator, one of the ones who was dropped off to hone their skills. And so we then get this sort of girl versus predator rather than the traditional. We've had a few sort of female protagonists, but this is like an early Comanche woman who is fighting her all against this.
Rather than an oiled up Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers arm wrestling in close up with like rippling muscles, rather than that fighting taking on a predator.
So she doesn't use that physical strength the way they did. She uses her wits and her skills, and she outwits the predator rather than outpunches him.
Yeah, well, because I think it's a predator film, so I don't think it's a spoiler to say that the good guys are the humans. The predator's the bad guy. Although it would be a bit, oh man, it would be so daring if they made a predator movie in which the predator won. It would be so daring if they did that. But and this is a film that I think, as it says, it knows what it is. It knows that it's a predator movie, and it knows that you, as a viewer, you've seen all the predator stuff. You know all that kind of. So it doesn't try and replicate the first film, because the first film is all about, we're not going to show you the predator. There's going to be all this sense of dread, and there's just this thing this thing in the trees. What is it? Or is it? And then the predator is like a big, massive reveal, leading to like, oh, you're one ugly line that that Arnold says. But in this, from the word they're like, look, we're not going to try and hide this thing. You know it's a predator. We know it's a predator. Let's get on with it. And the whole idea with the film, I think, when they talk about prey, there's this whole thing about hunter and hunted thing that goes all the way through it, and they keep showing because they take about half an hour, even though there's a predator out there, they take about half an hour, just almost showing the way of life and showing the hunting and showing what it means to this group of people, and showing you different ideas of hunting. And like there's this sequence where you have, I think it's an insect, and then the insect gets chased by a rat, and then the rat gets chased by a snake, and then the predator shows up, and then it's over for everybody. And then they have this where you have like a bear shows up, and you have all these different things going up. And I have to admit, because I have, we all have our predilections, and I have my predilection, and as I've told you, as I've grown older, I start seeing colonialism everywhere. And so once the opening lines of this film are like, they say it in Comanche and then they say it in English, where it starts off and it is said that a long time ago a monster arrived here. And once I heard that, I was like, yes, colonialism! And so even though it might not be what they were doing, but I do feel like they were trying to do a little bit of a theme more than most other predator movies. There is this theme of hunter, hunted, and who is the predator and who is the prey. And there's even a bit where they talk about they have a rite, and I cannot remember how to pronounce it in Comanche, where it is kind of like the rite of almost like a rite of passage where you hunt.
Yeah. And
they say it's not about hunting, it's about hunting something that hunts you. So if you go out there and you kill a lion, the lion is hunting you, but you find to hunt the lion. And so this whole thing about, when does the hunter become the hunter? There's this whole thing going in there. There's the bit where it's almost as if like the predators you see keep going bigger and bigger. First of all, it's a rat, then it's a snake, then it's a bear, then it's French trappers who show up at some point in the film. And then obviously then you have the predator itself, and then it's a point of the girl being the prey, but at what point does she switch and and then the predator becomes the prey? And I have to say that I do think that, for my money, this is probably the best Predator film since the first one. Like, of all the ones that have been done, because I quite like Predator 2, I quite like Predators, even though I felt like it kind of petered out a bit. I haven't even gone anywhere near the Alien vs Predator movies. I just refuse. But this I actually really liked. I think that the girl who plays Naru, Amber Mid Thunder, I think she does really, really well. She's really, really convincing. I think the action's quite convincing. And even though the filmmakers, they straight up admitted themselves that, okay, well, we have done this thing here where we deliberately removed some of the Predator's things, like, the shoulder laser blaster cannon. Yeah. I read an interview where the director was like, yeah, we had to take that laser blaster cannon away because that's just game over. You're putting a Predator in pre-industrial age. If they have a laser cannon, it's game over for everybody else. It just, and it's like, so they're like, oh, we know we took it away, but to sort of level things up. And they make it believable, like the sort of fight because this is a more primitive Predator, almost, so to say. It still has high-tech gadgets. It's still from an advanced civilization. It still has lights on its thing that go. It still has all of that, but it doesn't have. It's not up to the level of what we saw in the 1987 film. And the fighting makes sense. The logic that they go through makes sense. There's a couple of bits of movie convenience, I would say, but nothing that got up my nose so much that I was like, oh no, come on, no, nothing that bad. And I think the change of the setting, like putting it all that time in the past, and it brings something new to it. It brings something different to it. The fact that it's a woman, the fact that it's actually, the fact that it is an indigenous tribe, and obviously with my head, I'm sorry, I see it everywhere nowadays, and the fact that it has gone, it has all these other themes, and I do think that colonialism is a subtle theme in there, and hunting and hunted is a subtle theme in there, and I thought it was really, really good. If I had to give it a rating, which is what we do here, I would give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that, Tos. Yeah, because I was thinking about the technology. How would you have an advanced technological society and versus against a primitive one, to use those terms? I thought, how is that? Why would, as a predator, as in the beastie predator, why would you go to a pre-industrialized world to test yourself when you know that you've got an instant advantage? You can just go pop.
You can just go laser gun.
It'd just be, so you see sometimes where they are testing themselves, when they are going up against like some of the animal world, they are not using all the technology. So you could see it sort of makes sense that they are trying to test themselves against an equal foe rather than automatically relying on the technology, and they only resort to the higher tech when they start to feel a little bit threatened.
Yeah.
So I thought that it made, as you say, it made sense, because when I was first thought about it, I thought, well, why would you go to somewhere where you know that you're going to beat everything there? How is that testing your? You're not going to be earning your spurs.
Predators are just flat track bullies. They're just bullies. That's
So it's like saying, yes, we want to test ourselves, but not in such a way that we might be in danger of actually losing. We're going to keep that advantage. So I thought in some ways it probably just demonstrates that they think they're themselves honourable, but actually they still keep that advantage wherever they test themselves.
So I thought it was interesting. I was going to say, I'm just going to bring a laser cannon to a tomahawk fight.
Yeah, just a bit of insurance. But no, I enjoyed it. I thought I liked the characters. I thought the fact that the way some of the Comanche fighters were responding to these unknown threats, they would respond with bravery, but they're obviously hopelessly outgunned, but they wouldn't be aware that they'd be hopelessly outgunned. The fact that they were not running away. They would be like, come on then, do you want some?
Yeah.
And they would go in there. So I liked the fact that they sort of took these differences in cultures and had this sort of clash of the titans almost. So I enjoyed it, and I would give it a 4 as well. I thought it was definitely up there in the sort of top 2 or 3 Predator films.
I would agree with
some
that.
of the
top 2 or
more
3.
recent Predator ones are just so forgettable. I mean, I did watch Alien vs Predator, but some of the other incarnations I've just gone a bit like, more Predators. And so, but this one I was thinking, do I even want to go there? But then I'd heard a good thing about it, and I thought, I'll try it. And I thought it was very good.
I remember wanting to go watch the last Predator film, which was just called The Predator. And I remember going, yeah, let's go see this. And then you guys went to watch it, and you came back. And to say the reviews were scathing is the reviews were scathing. I feel like it was one of those reviews that I could literally see Shaun giving up on life halfway through trying to review this film, and so I've never seen it. Each time I think let's watch The Predator, I just imagine Shaun giving up on life. No, forget about that. No, watching that film. So yeah, but Shaun, I think it would be good if you watched it. If you could,
you'd like it.
Yeah, I'll have that. I'll see Dan.
Yeah, and
see Dan.
Yeah, and I would think it would be good if you watched it, because I especially would like to know, because I know that you have a much lower tolerance for things not making sense and things being stupid. You have a much lower tolerance than I think Sharon and I do. So I think this holds together. And I know that there's some things that you don't like in action movies, like you hate the whole trope where people get together, one person has a gun pointed at someone else's head, but they go, you know what? I'm going to throw the gun away and let's settle this like men with our fists. I know that kind of stuff that you hate that. I know you absolutely hate that, and I would be interested to see what you thought about this. I would just to see.
I'll make a point.
Yeah, I'll see whether there's anything like that where you think, okay, now that was just stupid. Why the heck would you do that? Or in a Peter Shaun phrase, why would you do that? All right, cool. So that is 4 stars for Prey. So now we have, because I think that's it for Prey, what we've seen this week, and I think I've been the only person who's actually seen anything else this week. So I'll give you guys a choice between two things. That I've seen that I can also tell you about. Which one do you want to hear? Because I think 3 things of me talking might be a bit too much. But would you like to hear about Showtrial on the BBC iPlayer, or would you like to hear about Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers on Disney Plus?
Showtrial, please.
Which one I do?
Sharon, I don't even know why I asked. If there was essentially, I was just asking Shaun this question because I know what Sharon's gonna say. Although one thing I'll say about Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers on Disney Plus is that it might not be what you think, because Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers was originally a cartoon in the 90s on the Disney Channel, and they've made a film with the exact same title, but think more Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So
Okay.
Yeah, so Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is actually more like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but it also updated for the last 20 years of animation. So all the way through that film, they are making jokes about animation and animation tropes and all that kind of stuff, and how it's gone from hand-drawn to CGI animation. And there's even, Shaun, if I said the words to you, ugly Sonic, would you understand what I was talking about?
Ooh, probably, I don't know. No, probably not.
Do you remember there was a time when Sonic the Hedgehog was going to be released?
Oh, yes.
And they released a trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog, and there was such a backlash. There was a Persuasion-sized backlash.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I do now. I remember you saying that. Yeah,
that they put the film back. They put the film back a couple of months so they could go back and work on all the graphics to fix Sonic. And even that, like, this is the kind of film where ugly Sonic is a character in the film. Where they have like a sort of Comic Con thing, and ugly Sonic is there signing autographs, going, "Yeah, worked out for me." So yeah.
I just can't understand a word they say. I'm sorry. To me, it's just like
okay.
I think. Are you actually supposed to? Are you supposed to understand them?
Well, I promise that this is not a review of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. This is not a backdoor review of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. But you know how in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, you have things like Baby Herman, and how when Baby Herman's on screen, Baby Herman is like, oh, yeah, da, da. And then once the camera stops rolling, Baby Herman is like smoking a cigar and going, hey, what are you talking about? Hey, that's what they do in Chip and Dale. So essentially, say that Chip and Dale's that was all for the cameras, but in actual life, they actually have normal voices. So yeah, but so that's what I would say. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is more. It's kind of like a spiritual sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, more than what you think it might be. Because I didn't think it was going to be this either when I saw the title. But let us get onto Showtrial.
Yeah, Showtrial. This would be interesting actually, because you say BBC iPlayer, right?
Yeah, BBC iPlayer Showtrial. Wow. So this is one of those lists of shows that I think BBC, when Netflix came along, I think the BBC realized that they had to up their game. So they started doing some co-collaborations with, or is it no, it's just a collaboration, isn't it? They started collaborations with like American TV shows where you could see all of the production values went up and the money that was spent on this thing went up and all that. And this is one of those things. It is about 7 to 8 episodes long. And the whole idea behind it is that you kick off, and when you kick off, you are in a student fair at a university in Bristol, and you see that there's students getting drunk, having like an end of term party almost, and then it cuts to the next day and someone's getting arrested. But the person who's getting arrested, her father is a Sir somebody who is good friends with Tory MPs and all that. Yeah. So he's essentially he's well off, and his daughter gets arrested, and she gets arrested for the murder of a schoolmate at the university, somebody who she used to be friends with, who has disappeared, and they don't know where the body is, and her mother has complained. And then the whole thing goes into the fact that you start trying to figure out, on the one hand, figure out the case and figure out what happened to this girl, why did this girl disappear, and on the other hand, it's trying to figure out whether this person, because the main character in this is almost deliberately unlikable. She almost sets out to be so she's rich, she's privileged, she's stuck up, she treats everybody around her like a servant, she acts like everything is like below her
already.
Exactly. And so the idea is she actually going to get a fair trial, or is she just going to get absolutely crucified in the tabloid press, and they've made up their mind that, we don't like her because she's already done it. And because we've already had like a real life, not quite a murder trial, but the whole Agatha Christie thing with Rebecca Vardy and Colleen Rooney, which even though you might not care about anything to do with celebrity, you have not been able to run away from. I'm sure even you have heard about that.
Yes.
Yes. And so it's a similar kind of thing where it's like there's the jury of public opinion where people already made up their minds what they think one way or another, and it's sort of similar with this, and it's trying to fit. And you meet her sort of public defender. I don't know what they're called in the UK, but it's like they're appointed by the states to and even though her father has a lot of money, she doesn't want any of her father's money. She doesn't want anything to do with that. And her dad is like showing up going, here's my lawyer, don't worry, telling the lawyer, we'll take it from here. And she's like, no, I want this lawyer. So she has her lawyer stays with her. Her lawyer,
legal aid.
Yes, like that. Her lawyer stays with her and goes through the whole thing, and then you just get to find a little bit more about the way the British legal system works, which is more riveting than it sounds. And also, you follow all these different characters and all the different machinations that are being done because you have these two privileged kids. These two privileged kids who got turned down by Oxford, and one of them, his mum is an MP, and her dad is a rich property magnate, and it's all about them pulling strings behind the thing to make sure that their kids don't end up in jail. Then one of them is trying to blame the other, and the other one's trying to blame the other, and all the work. And it's really well done, really well scripted, so much so that it gets to the end, and it's one of those things where it gets to the end, and there's still questions to be asked, and it's almost kind of like, okay, what question are we trying to ask here? Are we trying to ask who actually killed this person, or are we just trying to figure out who do we want to blame for it? And at the end of it, which one of these does it matter? So I thought it was quite well done. I thought that the performances were really, really, really good across the board, and mostly from a whole bunch of people that I had never seen before. Because I'm going to go on here now and try and look up some names.
I think the BBC can do some good quality dramas programs, really. I think they quite a few of their productions have been pretty decent affairs, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
They still speak quality, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, there it is. So there's Celine Buckens who plays Talitha. So once you hear the name Talitha, okay, cool, we're dealing with
She was not a comprehensive schoolgirl, was she?
Yeah, exactly. So she plays Talitha Campbell, and she is so brilliant at being you look at her and you immediately go, don't like her. I think she's cast so well that once they say, this could be a tricky trial to do, and you straight away go, yeah, I totally get why this would be a tricky trial. Look at her face. It's and Tracy Ifiacho, who is, and that last name, that's an Igbo name, that's a Nigerian name, and she plays Cleo, who's the lawyer. And I think it's just a really, really, really well done thing. And you have the whole thing where you have the police, and are the police going to hide evidence because the lead police officer really doesn't like rich toffs.
Oh,
and
right, yeah.
So there's a whole thing where you have the police who are I think because they're like, it's obvious that blah 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 has done it, and if it's obvious that blah blah has done it, then what does it matter if we don't give that piece of evidence? And then you have the prosecutors who are like, oh no, we need to have this because we had a scandal where somebody who we were pretty sure was guilty got scot-free because somebody hid some evidence, so we need to have all the evidence. And it's just interesting the way that it spins all these different plates, and I think it does a very good job of explaining who is who. Who's the prosecutor, who's the defense, who are the police, and what their own particular things are. So I really like Showtrial. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I would say go watch it. It will not take up that much of your time. It's about 7-8 episodes, and it's quite well written. And there is a look on one character's face towards the end of it that I think almost exactly summed up my entire feeling about the whole show. And that's all I will say. That's all I would say, because to say more would be to spoil the thing and to tell you what the outcome is. So that's it. 4 stars for Showtrial. So a good day, a good week at home with Prey and with Showtrial. And I think that's all I'm going to say. I guess there's anything else you guys want to say? You guys want to talk about?
No, I did see. I did see Palmer. I did watch Palmer.
Oh yeah, Palmer. That was the Justin Timberlake thing on Apple TV Plus. Sharon gave it a 3, I believe. Yes, I would have to agree.
Yeah, I can't remember now, 3 or 4. I liked it. I thought it was very good.
Yeah, it was very, very clever. I mean, the young boy actor was. I mean, he was. I was quite surprised, really, and I thought even. What's his name? Justin Timberlake.
It was a 4. It was a 4 for Palmer for him.
Yeah, I thought I was a 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It wouldn't normally be my sort of film, but it kept me watching, and I thought Timberlake was, wow. I mean, he's like, wow. He was really, really quite good there.
Proper acting.
Yeah, he was proper acting. He was totally believable. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and as I say, yeah, it was quite. Yeah, it was quite interesting. It was, I mean, I think the ending was like convenient. You know, the ending was convenient, but on the whole, I enjoyed it, and I would agree with Sharon that you know it's a 3 for me. It was a 3 touching 4 star really. So so that was a good review there. Yeah.
Good stuff. Sure. I just had this image in my head of you being a director one of these days. You being a director and having to try and get a film made, and then you're saddled with a Justin Timberlake, and just because that you need him to get the finance to get the film made, and you're just kind of like, fine. And then you're behind the camera, and then you go, all right, action. And they're like, whoa. Oh wow, that's proper acting.
Yeah. It was great. It was great. He was really, really good. Really good.
Like you're just being shocked and going, oh wow, you can actually do this. This might not suck after all. But all right. So I think that's everything. Unless anybody else wants to sort of like jump on and complain a bit more about Persuasion, but I think the internet is doing that enough for us. So until next week, when we will have at least one new thing in cinema to watch, because Nope is being released. Nope is being released this Friday, and I am going to try and see it.
I shall try that. Well, I will see it. I will see it one way or the other.
Yeah, I think there would have to be something. There have to be something apocalyptic, like something Nope level apocalyptic to stop you seeing that.
Yes.
I think if you haven't seen Nope by this time next week, my first question will be, "Oh my God, what happened?" So yeah. Until that time, it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye for me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Thank you so much for joining us and listening this far. Like us on Facebook or something, or YouTube. Yeah. Download the thing and listen to us audially. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.